Hi everyone. So yeah, I'm going to do something a bit controversial and say that we maybe shouldn't use JavaScript all the time as our first go-to thing, because HTML can do it. One thing I want to point out first, which I'm sure we all know and love, is the fact that the web is getting slower. We are adding more and more JavaScript, we're adding more and more videos, images. Marketing departments are giving you massive 4K images to put on websites and make it load in a second. And the web is getting slower. Also, more people are coming online and using lower power devices, which is also making the web slower. Good. And also, interesting fact that people who browse the web on tablets, such as iPad, often actually have a much slower browsing experience because they don't often update them as much as phones, because how often do you change an iPad? Is that all right? Is it flickering? 1 second. No.
Oh, there we go.
Cool. So I want to show the power of HTML.
You're trying to get rid of the JavaScript.
It's fighting back. So first of all, I actually need to update this, so I will do that. That bit is entirely editable by the fact you have a content editable attribute on a HTML element. You can add that to any HTML element you want, and people can edit it. So if you want to make a really super basic editor that users can edit, you could make it content editable and then just grab it when in JavaScript when it changes. But let's build a website, and we'll add a few basic things that we want. So modal, collapsing sections, tooltips, color inputs, autocompletes, all the kind of jazz that we kind of want with a website. Can everyone see this okay, by the way? I don't need to do anything. So if we do all that, we add about a megabyte of minified JavaScript and over 4.5 seconds of download time. So now I'm going to awkwardly make us all wait that amount of time while that loads. Great. I found that out by importing just these packages. So this is Bundlephobia, which is something I really love. If you stick a package in there, it will tell you how long it'll take to download and the size of it and stuff. There are some real shockers. So I just loaded up a couple of different ones, all different components, all different frameworks. So you've got a color input from React, which takes 2 seconds to download. You've got a data input, you've got a progress bar, tooltip, if you want to do a tooltip, you've got a iron collapsing section, which is collapsible, and a modal. So all that adds up to a long time that we're going to have to wait to download all that stuff. And we don't actually need to, because it's actually all built into the browser already. And this is the amount of time it takes just to download these bits, never mind all the frameworks that we're going to add and our actual business logic and the actual important things. So let's not use that. Let's use what the browser gives us. So I'm going to open up the HTML alongside this. So this is a dialog built completely just with HTML. You can see here that it is just a dialog. There's some inline JavaScript because I wrote this last night. And you can see that you can just add whatever content you want inside this dialog. You can make it flow and go away. You can use CSS to style the background if you want to style the background and make it colors or whatever you need it to do. But that's really simple, right? You don't need to import however long it was, a second's worth of JavaScript to download. You can just use the dialog tag, which I know is also really confusing because they don't always name the HTML elements the best, because it could be modal, dialog, whatever you want to call it. The next one we've got is a collapsing section, which I only found out about recently, but I really like. So you've got a nice little collapsing section that can just collapse in and out. You can see it here. So you've got the details one, and then that has a summary element. Oops, too far. Which has a summary here. The summary is the bit that's displayed whenever it's collapsed, and then everything else inside of it is shown when it's toggled open, which is really great, because again, it's like 10 characters that you've got to type. Autocomplete on the other side, and you've got a nice little collapsing section. Next, we've got progress bar. So this is a progress bar which doesn't have a value set at the minute, so it will just poll for ages. If you actually want to start the progress bar going, then you can start it going, and it'll tick through. The HTML for that is also really simple. So you can see here you've got progress. That has a max value of 10, which is ignored. and then I've literally just incremented the value, and that when it doesn't have a value, it will poll that back and forwards, and when you set the value, it will just slowly increment up. Again, don't need another 2 seconds of JavaScript. It's just a simple element. And that one's actually named sensibly, which is great because they aren't always. Tooltips, which is my #1 bugbear for websites. Tooltip. Or title, because they named it sillily again. That one is really simple. You just add a title attribute to it. If anyone comes to you and says they need to style a tooltip, they should have more important things to do with their lives, because it's a tooltip. You don't need to style it, it's there in an emergency. Dates, which is slightly controversial because if you need to support Safari, you might have to polyfill this one, because Apple. But in all other browsers, you get a really nice date picker, including Edge Beta, which is in Chromium. And that looks really nice, and you don't have to handle any formatting or any kind of time zones, because you really shouldn't want to handle time zones. And that one's even simpler. That is literally an input type date. You can also do date times, where you can capture date and time. And date time local, which will also help you capture a user's time zone if you want. If you want to capture colors, this is a new one. So if you need to capture color, so if you start to want to use like brand customization on a website, say if you're like selling to other businesses, you could just stick a color picker in and they just pick whichever color they want and they can change the background of their website. And Autocomplete, which again is another one of my bugbears, because it just uses a data list. So you can just list as many options as you want and you get a nice little autocomplete. You don't have to include any libraries, you don't have to do anything like that. It'll also handle all the searching for you, so you don't actually have to put any logic in for how to search something. It just does it because it's in the browser, and thankfully Chromium engineers and people who are way smarter than me have done it all, tested it all, and that means that we've got less to do, which is good, right? Less tests, less stuff for us to do. We can focus on more important jazzy things like building electron apps and maps, rather than having to build and write tests for a autocomplete JS library, which obviously will have issues raised against it. And that's it really. Really speedy talk through the power of HTML. I really love it because the less JavaScript I have to write and the less bugs I can introduce, the better, because I like to stick with HTML elements and use a JavaScript anywhere necessary, because we have great power as developers. I'm going to steal the line from earlier. We have great power with JavaScript developers, but that comes with great responsibility, right? We should only use it when necessary and where we need to, not just chuck it in because we can npm install everything now. Yeah, so that's it really. Yeah, if anyone wants to have a chat about any of them or anything, just give me a shout. And that's me on Twitter and GitHub.